I had female friends that were more like me. I wish I had like
I swear, one of the biggest things that I hate when it comes to like going live, I really wish I could play music. It's crazy. I'm like, I really, really wish I could play my music. And I wish I could play my music in the way that like you can play your music when you stream or you go live on like other platforms. But you can't do that here. And it's just like, it's immediate like copyright strike. So, oh my god. I was doing some work and I was hanging out with this one friend and I was like singing this one tune. And I was like, there's something you got me tripping. There's something you did. Oh, like he was like, wait, you can sing. And I'm like, no. I cannot sing actually. Like this is all a facade. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of like getting ready. I didn't just wake up. That's not what's happening here. I did not just wake up. What had happened was I found my song. Hold on. Hopefully this is not like too overpowering. Let me know and I can turn it off. Maybe I should turn this down a little bit. So hello. This music is distracting. Psych. We're not doing the music. I am trying to understand reality right now. It's sunny outside. I think I have things I should probably be doing later this afternoon. But before I do that, I don't know. I just kind of wanted to go live. I wanted to talk to my peoples. But I also saw some like really interesting, like, I don't know. I've been like reading a few articles. I've been like kind of reflecting on the Grammys. I've kind of been like just kind of observing, and there's something that came up around like this idea of like baddie friends and like picking friends off of aesthetics. And I knew I was going to talk about this at some point, but I didn't really know how to talk about this just because, yeah. So that's why we're here, and I thought that this could be a good, something light for the summertime, like May is approaching. I'm slowly but surely getting on my summertime shit. So before I start talking, I want to say hello to everybody. So Tyra Rose, hey, mwah, mwah, welcome. I see Minx watching from work. Hey girl, mwah, mwah. I remember you told me something about Amazon and how you take some weekend shifts. So hopefully this is a good distraction. So the only thing I want to say really, and then we can just discuss, this isn't really going to be a long video. I just have a question because I thought it was fake. So that's not true. I will insert something personal, but I don't think that's true. Are people really selecting their friends off of like aesthetics? And if you have selected your friends based off of like the way that they look, how is it going for you? You know what I mean? Like, how is that going for you? Like, is that going well? So I want to talk about a story of when I was in college. And it's not even that long ago. This is just a year ago. Long story short, I don't even want to mention, let's just call them like, oh my God. Let's just call them like Totally Spy Squad. That's the best way I can explain it. Like, I kind of want to say that, or like the Powerpuff Girls Squad. But the Powerpuff Girls, weren't they like nice? Was that shady? Yes. But essentially, I was in like this whole thing where I think because of the fact that I am fat and I was fat at the time, some people, I definitely think, I don't want to say like excluded me in certain ways. It'd be like, oh, take my picture for us, or like certain things like that. And I thought that was really weird. Long story short, their friendship burnt down in flames. And I don't want to say I'm like laughing at like the burning house, but I did think it was really interesting. So I don't know why I really gave that personal insert. I think it's more so to illustrate that I think I am comprehending this statement of like baddie friends, or like picking people who like fulfill a type of like visage. So I don't want it to come across like I don't understand how this works. Okay, Fedhil. Did I say? Oh no, it's Fedhili. Did I pronounce that correctly? Please let me know. So I'm gonna read your comments. As you guys know, I love reading comments, so I want to read your comment. Fedhili says, "Not gonna lie, I used to because I like people who are into things I'm into, but I learned the hard way. It's always a fashion Instagram." Listen, there's sort of like, I don't want to say drama, but the sort of like shenanigans that I hear out of like certain like scenes of people who have to put up a presentation, especially if it's for their job. It's so, I don't want to say sad, but like some of the stories that I hear from like people who are influencers and like how they associate with other people around them, it makes me really, really sad. I'm like, dang, like you're picking who has like the best sort of bag or the best type of apartment to shoot from or to come by. You know what I mean? Fedhili. Okay, hey. Oh my God, am I adding a new person to the squad? Okay, welcome. I'm pretty sure I've seen like one or two of your comments under my video, so thank you so much for joining us today. So yeah, like in terms of like picking friends off of aesthetic, I guess the only thing I can say is, or the only question I really have for anybody rewatching this is like, how is that working out for you? Like, do you like your friends? Do you feel like you can connect deeply with them? Do you feel like if something, you know, went wayward pines, hashtag, you know, M. Night Shyamalan, like if something went wayward, do you really feel like you would be able to go to them? Because that's also something that I have heard as well, where like some people have friends for better, for worse. Maybe it's not like they were a quote unquote baddie friend selection, but they were just a friend that maybe cares about certain things that maybe you don't, or they have a lack of empathy of certain things that don't look good or that don't suit like the storyline of progression. It's like the friend that, like for example, like friends that maybe the only time they want to hear from you is when maybe you got a new job or you're buying a new car. A new car, child. Like what I just said right now does not, I don't want to say fit my socioeconomic status, but it like these are not the sort of conversations I have with my friends. So I'm not having conversations with my people around like buying cars, child. Like, I mean, good for you if that's like where you are in life. But you know, the sort of friends that they only want to hear about the sort of things, they only see excitement when you tell them about things that you are like acquiring or things that you are getting almost. And so I have heard like some feedback from people where they talk about how like some of their friends, they feel like they can't connect deeply on with things that aren't just the things that they have, the shoes that they wear, etc., etc. I do actually want to make a comment though. So like Fedhili made an interesting comment where they said that, you know, they wanted to connect with people who were into the same things that they were. So obviously like the context of like, let's say I like fashion, right? Obviously like if I connect with somebody about fashion or thrifting or the shape of clothing or the construction of cloth or runways, you know what I mean? Obviously like the context of our conversations would be around like these items, right? So hopefully this distinction makes sense what I'm saying. So yeah, maybe I should make a longer video about this where I think about it a little bit more. That's why I like these lives, so that I can kind of process my thoughts. And then I think another thing I wanted to say about the whole baddie friend thing is that I feel like if somebody, like, is there a difference, do you think, between wanting a baddie friend and like maybe the person who's saying they want a baddie friend, what they really mean is they want to go to like a club, they want a friend that can go to like a club with them or go to events with them or likes going to dinners with them where like the area of like the event or the event in nature requires people to maybe look a certain type of way. Like I guess like I wanted to also distinguish between those two things. Like I guess if you want someone to go to the club with and you know that maybe going to a certain club in this area means certain types of things, is that also, do we feel what some people mean when they say they want baddie friends? Like internet connection being offline, child. What? Don't make me put on hotspot. Oh my god. Ooh. Ooh. Wow. Not them like shutting off. Baby, do you see myself where I try to see you? Do holding when dun dun da da. See your face and compare nobody to you. Boy, I try to catch myself, but I can't let it go. Am I back on mine? Oh wait, let me check. And I can't let it go. Dang, do I need to turn on my hotspot? Is this still live? Okay. Oh no, now we be live. LOL. Okay, I gotta make sure I can like mute myself, child. Y'all can't be hearing me secretly giving my shower tunes. Hi, DC the Purple Diva. Mwah, mwah. Oh my gosh, yes. I heard it's hot. And like, I heard that it is so hot on the West Coast. Like, one of my friends texted me. They were like, it was like 97 degrees yesterday. So stay like hydrated, DC the Purple Diva. Mwah, mwah, welcome. Okay. So yeah, to keep it brief. Yeah, like I'm wondering, like, is there a distinction between it when people say they want baddie friends? Are they also trying to say like are they trying to say that there are certain environments in which requires a certain type of visage and they feel like the people around them don't fit that look? You know what I mean? So that's kind of something else I've been trying to wrap my head around. I think fundamentally, this is kind of something I really want to say. So when it comes to this whole idea of like picking friends off of like aesthetics and baddie friends, the only thing I can say is, which is the question that I pose, which is like, how is that actually working out for you? What happens when the shoe is on the other foot? So like, what happens if like you are a friendly person? You know what I mean? Like, I think when it comes to making friends, you can't like force things. You just, I think, have to be friendly and maybe optimistic. You know what I mean? And present yourself transparently. There's certain things I'm sure you wouldn't say to people you don't know or act around people that you're not familiar with. But, if you're friendly and you have the ability to take showers, you brush your teeth, you know what I mean? You wash them clothes, like, which we could talk about all of those things, but assuming that you have the ability to clean yourself and brush your teeth and, you know what I mean, and wash your clothes and you're friendly, you know what I mean? And you're, I think, self-aware. I'm hoping that, like, people are able to find people. We can talk about making friends when you're an adult and how that's not really the same experience as to when maybe you're younger or you're in college. And how it takes, one of my friends was telling me something really interesting where she was like, I was telling her, like, what do you think it would take for me to have multiple yous? Because I was like asking her, I was like, what would it take for me to replicate you like 5 times? And she was like, well, that's impossible. Please stop. There's no two of me. She didn't say that. I'm like at this point making up like half of her conversation, but she did say something really interesting where she did say that, like, in order to be friends with people like deeper, like, it essentially requires that you are around them like for at least, I think she said, like 40 hours. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to be around people for a very long time. And the only reason why, let's say, you're able to make a really good friend of yours, like in college, it took you like 3 months, is because you're probably around them. Like, you go after class, you walk to the dorms, you get breakfast, you get waffles, you go, you sneak out, like, both of you ditch class. Both of you ditch class to go and get boba tea, you know what I mean, and cry about your woes before finals. Like, and that's how you guys became like really good friends in a very short amount of time span. But it wasn't really short. You spent a lot of time around like that person. Okay, I'm taking a deep breath so that I can actually read some more comments. So, Fadili says, you pronounce it right. And yes, they're so performative. Tara Rose said, I once had a friend tell me he hey, Jesus, what is this? Okay, deep breaths, cute, deep breaths. Tara Rose says, I once had a friend tell me he couldn't be with me because I befriended everyone and that some of my friends don't have a good look. Hey, I don't even know how to respond to that. Like, because it's just like, I guess maybe it comes down to as well, like, who are you trying to impress? Or why are you ashamed? I think that's what it is. Like, why do you feel like you can't be friends with people who don't have a certain visage? Like, where does that come from? And like, who are you afraid of? Like, let's say you do have a friend, and you know, when we start talking about aesthetics and like ugliness, they're not just talking about people who are asymmetrical in the face, right? And I'm saying this very neutrally. So this is a safe space. This is a safe space. And speaking of ugliness, like, I'm not trying to say I don't want to project that onto anybody here or myself. I'm just saying that, like, I personally feel like it's okay to be ugly. Like, people are ugly, so I mean, like, it is what it is. But what I was gonna say is, like, you know, when we talk about this idea of like people who don't quote unquote fit an aesthetic, it's not just people who are like asymmetrical in the face. Like, it's not just people who they have like, what do I have? Like textured skin, like, you know, from acne scars, or hyperpigmentation. It's not just people who are like ugly and like maybe average sized, you know, that are just brown skin. Like, no. It also is including people who like generally don't fit the aesthetics. So like maybe people who don't quote unquote check off that box of being seen as like a desirable person. So that includes like fat people, right? So even if, you know what I mean? So it includes like fat people, it includes like disabled people, it includes like old people. I feel like it also at times includes like young people, like, you know what I mean? Like, depending on like, you know, depending on who you're socializing with. So, you know, ageism, it also includes poor people. You know what I mean? Like, you can't buy certain things. You can't fit in. That's why, like, sometimes when I talk about Canal Street and DHL gate, you know, buying some fake Telfeezy, everything's so breezy, you know what I mean? It's also funny. So I think something that I ask myself when people are like, oh, I want like baddie friends, and like, oh, I don't want to associate myself with people who don't look the part. I think a question that kind of pops up into my mind is like, who are you so afraid of? Like, who are you afraid of? Like, is it other people? But then most people don't look quote unquote aesthetically pleasing. Like, if we had to dig into it, not everybody has like access to the best shoes, to like dermatology. Some people have acne scars. Some people, you know, they go to dentistry, but to get that whitener, that's an extra maybe $300 procedure. Like, you know, there's just different things that I think about when this whole like baddie request. So, you know, also Tyra Rose, I found your comment kind of interesting because, okay, let me reread the comment. Tyra Rose says, I once had a friend tell me he couldn't be with me because I befriend everyone and that some of my friends don't have a good look. And so I feel like something I find, I don't want to say ironic, but it's like, who is talking? Like, I feel like guys also, essentially guys, I want to make a comment about like the way that men perceive people and like how they perceive themselves, and how I feel like sometimes they lack their own reflection because they are trying so hard to, I feel like, maintain standards around being a man and like how that is perceived, and like how they try everything in so many regards to look as normal as they can to the other men around them. So I also find it, and even without me saying that, I always find it ironic when guys talk about like looks and aesthetics, because it's just like they be the main ones, like, you know, the main perpetrators. All right, DC for Diva. Yeah, it's very hot. It's very, very, very hot. Okay, yes. Valentina, hey girl. Mwah, mwah. It's insane to me how shallow people are. Valentina says, I'm still friends with someone from elementary school, middle school, and high school, and how they looked was never something that I considered. Yeah, let's go ahead and drop the Harry Potter accent. Let me go ahead and drop the Harry Potter accent. Let me read. LOL. This is Purple Diva said, I'm almost 60. I don't need any new friends. I'm trying to get rid of old ones. I'm kind of curious, like, okay, from your experience, DC, like, you've kind of experienced some more of life. Like, what have you noticed about, like, the ideas of friendship as time goes on? Like, if you did get friends based off of, you know, aesthetics and, like, what they could bring and how their aesthetics could, you know, change experiences. The example I used was like a friend to go to the club with you. Like, what became of that? What became of all of that? Like, I wonder. Valentina says, for me, it's about aligning with those who have the same morals and values as you. Once that happens, you're tapped in. LOL. I love that. DC Purple Diva says, exactly, Valerie. I'm still with my friends from childhood and college. Oh my gosh. Quick note on that. I think to just like also highlight on a comment I just made around like making friends. I feel like I'm noticing, and I'm not saying that it's impossible to make friends outside of college. However, I am noticing that a lot of people, you know, if they're able to make friends in college, that's pretty much who they might be floating through a lot of their adult life with. And I don't want to say that's depressing, but it's like, what if you move away? Like, what if you want to meet new people? Like, I definitely believe in strengthening, like, you know, bonds and like keeping up with your friendships and checking in with friends. But like, what happens when what happens when you want to make new friends? What happens when you're more so open to like new connections? And like, how hard is that? So I just find that so almost like ironic. Like, older people, you know, younger people are just like, you know, you go to college, maybe high school, you get some of these friends, and like, I don't want to say that's it, but like, it's intriguing. Let me read some more of the comments. Valentina says, all of the cool people I met just introduced me to more people. Yes. So Q definitely is open to being introduced. Southern Moon made me obsessed with friendship. Oh my God. Yeah. I am not going to lie. Like, if I ever wrote a movie, if I ever wrote like book anthologies, it would definitely center more so around like friends. Like, if any sort of relationships had to be inserted, I think it would be very friend heavy, just because like, I think there's something really special around like the fact that there are people in your life who will love you about 98% unconditionally. There's like a 2%, like, you know, you can't kill anybody, and like, you know, you don't do anything that could definitely put you on like the block list. You know what I mean? But the most part, I feel like friends, when you have them, there's like an unconditionalism, there's like a community, there's like a non-individualistic like aspect about having friends, and then becoming like safety nets and protection and like land, like, you know what I mean, things for you to really sprout on, that I feel like other relationships do not have the ability to do for you, namely like dating. And did I ever publish a video? Did I ever post that video? But essentially, there's this one video where I was talking about how women are like coerced. Like, when they get into these relationships, especially if they're with men, they can't maintain their own lives. And sometimes like they give up and they release and start to pull themselves away from their friends. But ironically enough, like, your friends will be there. And like, maybe men are temporary. All right. Caregiver life doesn't afford a lot of friends. Oh, and that's another interesting part about like the dynamics of like, what sort of position are you in life to be able to be around certain types of people. So that's a really interesting comment to DC the Purple Diva. Valentina says, also, I'm in Canada and I was the only Black person in my grade elementary school. When I went to middle school, the Black girls in grade 6 came up to me and said, you can roll with us. Hey. Valentina then goes on to say, it basically is a Black girl sorority in middle school where the only requirement was being a Black girl, and I'm still friends with those women. Platonic love is amazing, and it's often overlooked. Oh, God, don't even get me started. We're going to talk about that some other day. Not again, child. Dang, but okay, I'm going to put on my hotspot because this is kind of Okay, my apologies, child. Okay, so I like just put on. I'm on hotspot. I'll finish soon. Fine, I'll finish soon. So let me read. I'll get to the rest of these comments, and then I guess I'll get off. I guess fine. So let me. So Valentina's talking about sorority. Where was I? Tyra Rose. Where's Tyra Rose? Okay, Tyra Rose says, I'm not trying to date my friends. I'm trying to uphold platonic relationships. And then Valentina says, that's really gross. If that's how you choose friends, don't be surprised when you get dropped for not being cute enough. I've seen it happen. I've seen like people's like shoe collection thrown out onto the street outside of like the house that they used to get ready on, like, you know, kickbacks before they go to the party, just because, you know, people switched up their braids. People didn't get the lace fronts anymore. Like just different things that I've just seen where it's like, you no longer fit like the look. And even now, like there's somebody that I'm thinking of where oh God, how do I even say this? So there's somebody that I'm thinking of, and who knows if this person really chooses their friends based off of aesthetics. I will say that this person comes from a more affluent family, and this person, I think, I don't want to say likes the finer things in life. Like, it's just more so they are around things that are like not accessible. And like, I just noticed, like, for example, like they drive the BMW. Their boyfriend also has to drive the BMW. Like, they need to go on these trips to like Tanzania. And okay, that's way too specific. Q, you need to like chill out. But it's just like, where was I going with this? Was I just trying to air out their details, child? Like, hold on, let me read this comment and make sure I'm trying to. Okay, don't be surprised. Okay, Valentina says, don't be surprised when they drop you for not being cute enough. So yeah, it's just like, I think why I mentioned that person and I'm here sub-dissing her like a coward is like, I think it has always been intriguing. And I think the reason why I actually brought up those details was because like, this person did this in college. Like, does that make sense? Like, they did this in school. And so they carried on like some of these practices around like how they perceive people and how they perceive themselves into how they socialize. And so I always wonder, like, what would happen if, God forbid, and I'll just use this because this is the best example I can use. And I don't say, this is an oxymoron. I was going to say it's a great equalizer, but illness is not, obviously, quote unquote, a great thing. But yeah, like, for example, like, what would happen if, let's say, God forbid, she or like her family member got an illness and they all went bankrupt. That is literally like the situations of what happened in the US, where even if somebody is like middle class, even upper middle class, most people who are under like the rich line, so that's pretty much, if you're not rich, below, like pretty much from that rich, that like, I think it's at 400,000 a year, you know, 500,000 a year, whatever. Below, like once somebody gets some sort of like cancer or something like that, it's all over. Like the savings, all of the money that you had, the house that you had, like the car that you had, is all over. So like, I always wonder, like, what happens then? Like, what happens to your whole community if like you get sick, your dad gets sick, you get cancer, all your money has to be given away. Like, and now, like, what about the people who you felt could not be around you because they didn't drive the BMW, because they don't have the Tesla, you know, the exploding Teslas. That was definitely shade. So yeah, I just, something that I'm just curious about. So let me read more of these comments. No more self-inserts, Q. DC the Purple Diva says, beautiful skin my whole life. My daddy is a dermatologist. Wow. Like, it's, wow. That's, you see, that's, let's snap for the girls. Listen, I don't know. It's so interesting, like, speaking of, like, aesthetic, like, how accessible it could be if things were more equal. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so interesting, like, if we had access to healthcare, more people would be able to get things that we are told we need to continue to progress in society, like clear skin, good teeth, like, you know what I mean? Like, teeth especially is something in the United States that, like, parents, they don't want their kids to be mistreated for having bad teeth, so they make sure that they get Invisalign or braces. They have to cough up $2,000 to $5,000, and they're like, let's go. That's how people, I don't know if you guys heard about that one service that they tried to replace Invisalign because it was less expensive, but because they didn't plot out the amount of time that it took before you were supposed to switch your teeth brackets, people's teeth started falling out just because it was a cheaper option. And so it's like, long story short, what I guess I'm trying to say is like, there's a lot of lengths that people want to go through to fit in. You know what I mean? And it's not just fit in. No. That's not why like the aesthetic thing is here as well. It's not just because like they want to fit in. People are talking about this is how they want to establish their relationships. This is how they can get a job. This is how, like, for example, like let's say the BMW girl that I'm talking about. She comes from an affluent family. Maybe people want to be around her so that they can also get the opportunities that come with socializing with people from that socioeconomic class. You know what I mean? So it's not. So I want to be careful. I want to be. Why I'm going through lengths to talk so much is so that I include these little things. It's not just aesthetics. Like your friends, I'm sure, could change your life. Like if the difference between you being friends with like, I don't know, Sweetie, I don't want to say Sweetie. I don't know, like, okay, we'll use Sweetie. The difference between you being friends with like a Sweetie or a Doja Cat is your teeth. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what could it mean for you to be able to be in proximity to somebody like that? I also want to acknowledge when it comes to being friends, like as an aside, maybe I'm not like articulating this correctly. So if anybody has any ideas on how to articulate this, let me know. This is something I'm still workshopping. So I'm going to say what I'm about to say, and I will continue to work on the way that this comes across. But I definitely think that I don't want to say there's nothing wrong to expect something from your friends. How do I say this? Like, there's nothing wrong to expect that you are being friends with somebody and there's like a quid pro quo about this. And it's not like, oh, they have money so they give it to you. I mean, I'd hope, I don't know. If I had extra money, I would give money to my friends. I think what I'm trying to say is like, are people being, how do I say this? Okay, let me restart the sentence. So when it comes to this whole idea of like friendship, I definitely think that like people should be able to call upon you and rely on you. Does that make sense? Like they should be able to go to you for help. Does that make sense? Like if you have a really good friend and they have a job and you're hard on your luck and you don't have a job, like I'm hoping that if it is within their power and they know that you are not an imbecile that will get hired and fuck us all up, like that they would give you a referral. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, I definitely feel like it's what I talked about earlier about like how friendship is a way for people to communally pull together resources and how it's not an individualistic thing to have friends and to have a community. And so I will continue to kind of work on how that is articulated. But I while we're talking about this idea of like picking your friends off of aesthetic and baddie friends and like I want to be in proximity to people who look like this, like I definitely want to also acknowledge that like when you're friends with somebody, I guess what I'm trying to say is like you hopefully should be able to rely on your friends. Like hopefully I can be in a position to help my friends, if not monetarily, but like with my labor, with my attentive ear, with my presence. The fact that you can call me, like the fact that you can share your location with me and you say, well, if this hookup goes wrong, this is where I'm at. Like, just different things like that. Like we're in the same city, like my family can't help me move my stuff. Can you please help me? Like just different things. So yeah, let me continue reading some of the comments. So Fedhidley says, teeth whitening is also bad for your teeth and will make them more yellow in the long run. I think Tiana had made... sorry. Hold on. I almost said socialism baddie. Hold on. I'm like trying to recall. Let me like pull up because I want to make sure I say the correct name here. Okay, Fab Socialism had also talked about like this idea of like who knows the effects of some of these beautifying like procedures down the line. And so yeah, if I remember the name of that video, I'll put it in the description box below. Let me read some more of the comments. Valentina says, also, why are we looking at friends like that? The hell? It's very like conundrum. It's very like, why, like these are supposed to be people that you can count on. Like what I just said, like I hope that I can count on my friends to help me. Like I hope I can count on my friends to come through for me in a way that I feel like is not really given for like these non-platonic, non-communal, non-friendship, you know, relationships. And so I think it's a little scary. Yeah, I think it is a little petrifying. Like, what sort of situation would you need to be in where like a platonic relationship needs to be looked at this way? Tara Rose said the gag is he wasn't even that cute. It's always Elmer Fudd. It's always Elmer Glue. It's always like that fish on that Scholastic book. It's always fee fi fo fum. It's always a Tolkien imp, you know, boy mind them. It's always just some. Actually, let me start with all these Rose. That's so Tara Rose is like, he was unattractive. He was not that cute. Not all of that cute. But yeah, it's always people who just, they themselves don't fit a certain type of look, which is ironic. You know, how sad is that? Like, it's always people who like, they don't fit a certain aesthetic sometimes, where they want to be around people who do. It's like interesting. It's very interesting to me. Valentina Rose said, I'm not surprised. Let's see. Let me read. TC the Purple Diva says, only my genuine friendships have lasted and still exist. They didn't like him either in the end. LOL, Tara. TC the Purple Diva said, I have a few friends I've met at work. And then DJ Purple Diva then says, my closest friends are more like family in real life. Yeah, like they become chosen family peoples. Valentina says, LMFAO, that reminds me of the Bad Girls Club when the mattress gets thrown in the pool. They want to be Barbie and Ken, but then get upset when they feel hollow. Yeah, just like plastic. Like, yeah, exploding Teslas. Yeah, some of their cars explode. Valentina says, look into a company called Malon. They have honey bar of soap, and that's good for your body and face. Jesus Purple Diva said, I had braces in high school and college. Valentina Nicole Jones says, yeah, I've heard of multiple Teslas exploding or having really serious issues. Yeah. Jesus Purple Diva said, I was a nerdy girl with braces and glasses until I got contacts. Valentina Nicole Jones says, 6 degrees of separation in the world is a very small place. A girl I know in high school cried and her contact popped out on her cheek, and I've been too scared to try them. Valentina says, communication and emotional regulation is key for any relationship. If there's trust and respect, then you can navigate what the expectations are. Exactly. The Purple Diva says, if I'm wearing glasses, I'm having a bad day. Either I ripped a contact or I have a sinus migraine. Valentina Nicole Jones says, and yes, it's key in my crew that we always help each other whenever possible. When my grandma and her sisters moved from Jamaica to England, they would save money together. And then each sister was able to get a coat. And yes, I've had several emergencies where I've had to throw up a bat signal and my friends always respond. A big reason I've been focusing on my mental health so I can show up for my friends. My friends and sisters have held me accountable when I'm being a flake and it hurts them. And they have grace for me due to my bipolar and ADHD. But that doesn't stop them from holding me accountable, because evolution and growth are essential to upholding and protecting my personal community. It's not healthy to lie the way a lot of people do. Valentina then concludes, and that whole fake it till you make it thing irritates the hell out of me because people take it way, way too far. DC the Purple Diva says, got Lovi playing throughout the house, keeping it zen on a hot Saturday. Yeah, I'm about to try and see if I can finesse some boba. But yeah, I feel like I got to the end of the comment, section. I did say I would keep it short. So yeah, just something that I just saw. So in conclusion, Q is thinking about this idea of Baddie Friends. Q has been thinking about like, I feel like I've more so been incredulous. Like I'm more so like really shocked and surprised that people that I think are not of like a 14 to 18, maybe 20-year-old are saying that they are picking their friends like further into their adulthood based off of aesthetics. And I guess I feel like it's a little surprising and maybe a little alarming just because of what the friends that I have in my life like have saved my life, and in ways that only a community can. So I don't mean like therapy. They're not like replacement for like getting a therapist. I just mean like they've been here for me, that like, let's say a boyfriend, like these sort of like relationships that I feel can be temporary. If you got fat or if you didn't want to wear makeup anymore in the relationship, then the man is like, I don't want to treat you nicely. I don't want to be there for you. But it's something that my friends would never do. And so I guess I thought it was a little alarming that maybe people who were above the age of like maybe 20, 21, 22, maybe 23, like are like, oh yeah, I definitely need people who fit a certain aesthetic. And I'm like, and I guess the question I'm left with is like, what are you seeking? What are you looking for? Does this work? Has that worked out for you? Will they be there for you in the ways that I feel like only a community can be there for you? What happens if you lose everything? What happens if you get in a crash? What happens if you fall, you drunk one night, you fall, chip your teeth, you can't afford a dentist. Now you have Next thing you know, you're doing like a Tyrese stand-up, with the lisp. Like, what next? Like, what next? Like, where do we go from here? Like, where do we go from here? So, yeah, like, what happens if you get sick? You have to sell your BMW, and you gotta, like, like what next? Like what happens if you're poor? What happens if you try to buy a house, you find out that your house is like a money pit? You got that shit, it passed the inspection, but now like the wood's rotting and now you gotta spend your like whole money. Like what next? Like what do you do? Like what do you do? Like were we not just talking about like a zombie apocalypse? Like what happens you straight up with the people that you were supposed to look a certain type of way? You know what I mean? So I found the lisp thing funny because I actually still have my retainer ins, so I'm lisping right now. It's just I found the whole thing funny because I was like, wow, I really talk like this. So it's just like what happens if you start lisping just on a normal Saturday afternoon and people decide that's just not the wave, So maybe it's a little bit of concern, but more maybe a little bit of wonder. And yeah, that's all I got. That's all I got. So I don't know. If there's anything else you guys want to chit chat patty whack about, we can actually drop it below. I mean, I'll probably go live later tonight. But yeah, I'm going to see what else. And I think I'll like take note because I'll like talk about it later. Later. Let's see. Whew, Lord. Okay. Let me stop checking my phone. Perfect. So I'm Q, and yeah, you singing tunes out of like the whistle, like, and I don't know how to say this, but I'm actually describing a real situation. Like this did not happen to me, but like somebody literally tripped. She was coming up from some, she was drinking, she tripped. You know how people be cackling in the nighttime with their friend's child, walking home, and tooth chipped, knee bruised, and it's just like. And some of her friends were like, well, what do we do now? And I was like, what do you mean, what do you do now? Like, help the girl get to a dentist. Like, help her get a filler. Like, is it that easy? Like, your braids get misdone. You don't go to your regular, like, hair braiding lady. You don't go to your regular salonist. You don't get your nails done that one Saturday. And you just go to the brunch barehanded and that's all it takes. Like, so Very alarming things. Very alarming things. So, yes, I am Q. This has been another one of my tapes. And I think we're going to be chatting soon. All right. Ciao, ciao.